Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Lieutenant General Todd T. Semonite, 54th Chief of Engineers and Commanding General of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, welcome to today's change of command ceremony. This morning, we bid farewell to Brigadier General David C. Hill and welcome Colonel Paul E. Owen. Please join me in welcoming our special guests today. Brigadier General Hill's wife, Chris, and their children, Megan and Nick. Colonel Owen's wife, Wendy, and his parents, Ed and Faye Owen. We also welcome from our headquarters in Washington the very recently arrived USACE Command Sergeant Major Bradley Houston. We also have some other very special guests today. Mr. Kamal Fulani, Deputy Regional Director, U.S. Senator John Cornyn of Texas. Mr. Brian Hackler, State Director, U.S. Senator Inhofe of Oklahoma. Mr. Matt Garcia, Chief of Staff, Congressman Pete Sessions. Mr. Daniel Castro, Staff Representative, Congressman Mark Vesey. Mr. Sam Coleman, Acting Regional Administrator, Environmental Protection Agency, Region 6. Mr. Michael Teague, Secretary of the Energy and the Environment, the State of Oklahoma. Ms. Jody Puckett, Assistant Dallas Manager, City of Dallas. Mr. Gene Higginbotham, Arkansas Waterways Commission. Mr. Mark Vincent, Director of Channel Development, Port of Houston Authority. Mr. Dan Kozma, Port of Corpus Christi. Ms. Phyllis Safoff, Port Freeport. Mr. Russ Poppy, Director, Harris County Flood Control District. Mr. Beck Broom, Director, Texas Water Development Board. Brigadier General Retired Tom Kula, Executive Director of the North Texas Municipal Water District. Mr. Kevin Ward, Trinity River Authority of Texas. Ms. Janie Bush, Trinity Park Conservancy. Retired Colonel R.J. Muraski, former Deputy Commander of the Southwestern Division. These are only a few of our many honored guests today. We thank all of you for joining us for this very special occasion. From time immemorial, armies throughout the world have conducted ceremonies to commemorate victory over an enemy, to honor the heroes, to celebrate special occasions, or to pay homage to their fallen comrades. These ceremonies add color and pageantry to military life. In the United States, the foundation of our present ceremonies was laid by the Continental Army. Today's ceremony is a reflection of procedures practiced since the dawn of our nation. Today's ceremony is derived from our Army's first manual of ceremonies, the Blue Book, written by General von Steuben. The ceremony that you are about to see includes arrival of the official party, presentation of honors, honors to the nation, relinquishment of command, remarks, and the conclusion. We hope you enjoy this historic event. On behalf of the soldiers, civilians, and families of the Southwestern Division, red roses are now being presented by our park rangers to Miss Chris Hill in a tradition that symbolizes the appreciation of the support and contributions made by loved ones. The red roses symbolize the full service to the soldiers and civilians assigned to the Southwestern Division during her husband's command. Roses are also being presented to Miss Wendy Owen as a welcome gesture. These roses are yellow, symbolizing new beginnings, and a spring bouquet to Colonel Owen's mother. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the official party. Remain standing for the rendering of honors. Our national anthem invocation by Mr. Ron Richards.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to go before our Father, we recognize the many different faiths, and we respect all faiths, and we believe that faith and love transcends all faith. So we respectfully ask each of you to be in agreement with this prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, great architect of this wonderful world, we come to you with gratitude in our hearts for all the gifts you have given us so that we may fulfill your divine purpose. You hold our times and our seasons and our endings and our beginnings in your powerful and loving hands. As we corporately come together to witness the passing of the mantle during the Southwestern Division change of command from Brigadier General David C. Hill to Colonel Paul E. Owens, we pause to remember you, our Creator and our Sustainer. Help us to live in the spirit of agape, to love one another in service as you have loved us. Let us remember your servants, the soldiers and DA civilians and their family members. And we confess that they are all healed by your stripes and are kept in safety wherever they go. We acknowledge today and thank you for the leadership, guidance, and wisdom that you have given Brigadier General David C. Hill, and we thank him for his sincere willingness to impact these gifts into us as the Southwestern Division established a strong foundation delivering the programs while he established his vision for the future. We humbly thank you for sharing with us his hidden figure, his wife, Chris, which is the foundation of not only his home, but their extended family, us. You blessed her with the strength of alliance and a humble, caring spirit of a lamb, and we thank you for her. Continue, Lord, to send angels around Brigadier General David C. Hill and his family as they embrace their upcoming challenge as the commander of the Transatlantic Division. Continue to give them your strength, compassion for others, loyalty to duty, honor, and country as they step off into this new and wonderful endeavor, keeping you as their commander-in-chief. We thank you for sending us Colonel Paul E. Owen and his wife, Wendy, to accept the mantle of command and the responsibilities as commander of the Southwestern Division. We acknowledge publicly that you chose and prepared them both for this position so that we may continue to support the Southwestern part of the United States, the nation, and the world. Father God, we lift up Lieutenant General Semonite and all the supporting leaders of the United States Army Corps of Engineers, giving them wisdom as they continue to lead us, providing first-class engineering service throughout the world. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus, and by the power of your blood, we all pray and thank you. Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We will now begin the change of command ceremony. The change of command is a simple event that is rich with symbolism and heritage. Key to the ceremony is the passing of the unit's colors. These colors represent not only the lineage and honors of the unit, but also the loyalty and unity of its soldiers. The colors are the commander's symbol of authority, representing his responsibilities to the organization. Wherever the commander is, there also are the colors. Throughout history, commanders ensured that unit flags were carried by one of their most trusted officers. This practice was used in the United States Army until 1813, when the regulations were changed and the flag was entrusted to color sergeants or sergeants major. Division commanders select one of their most trusted civilian advisors to perform the honors today. Mr. Martin Zanti will have this honored role. Passing of colors symbolizes the transfer of authority from the outgoing commander to the incoming commander. Because of the reverence each of the ceremony participants feels toward the colors, it is kept over the left breast of the possessor at all times during the transfer. The passing of colors demonstrates to the soldiers and civilians of the organization the old commander has passed and the mantle of leadership to the new commander. With this, also passes the loyalty of the workforce to their new commander. By the authority of Army Regulation 600-200, paragraph 2-5, the undersigned assumes command of the Southwestern Division. effective 29 June 2017, signed Colonel Paul E. Owen. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Semonite.
Well, listen, it's really a great day here in the Southwest Division. I'm excited to be here and to be able to honor these two families. But the family theme is much bigger than the families that are here. It's about the Southwest Division family, the Corps members. It's about the interagency. It's about all of our elected officials. It's about everybody in this region pulling together. Before I go much further, I want to thank all the people from the Southwest Division that put this on. These events don't happen by themselves. There's been rehearsals, there's cakes made, there's a bunch of programs, there's ushers, and this is a big, big deal for a division of this size to be able to have all of these honored guests in here and to be able to put this on, not only the event today, but the transition. This has been going on for a couple weeks, and it's a big deal to be able to see this through. So let's give all the people that put the ceremony together a big round of applause. So there's a lot of distinguished guests, and narrator went down through them in the beginning. First of all, we have a lot of people here that support our senators and our representatives that are working out there in the staff. I testified in front of Congress yesterday, the Senate, and I was in front of the House of Representatives 3 weeks ago. And I have to admit, Congress does the heavy lifting to be able to help the Corps of Engineers do their job. We get a normal budget of about $5 billion from the President, and Congress continues to understand the value of water resources and elements like the Corps of Engineers to step up. So to those that you are here from an elected official, whether it's state, whether it's federal, whether it's county, or even the lower, just let us know that we appreciate all your efforts. We want to continue to listen to you. And if you have things that you think we need to do better, we're excited about looking at innovative ways of changing the Corps of Engineers to get to be a better place. We've got a lot of other stakeholders here from the interagency, where we're very closely with all of our friends across the interagency. And again, those representatives, some are DC, some are the local regional people, and continue to look at how we can continue to be able to support you. And then a lot of local entities that know Dave Hill very, very well and know this division. And a lot of friends of SWD, people that have served before, retired leaders that are here. Sometimes when Hills walk out of here tonight, they might think that the biggest accolade they got was a medal that we pinned on their chest a couple of minutes ago or something else. But I think just you being here is a big deal. And it's when you come and take your time or fly in on your money and to be able to represent your entity or represent your care of this division and these families, it's a big deal. So I really, really want to appreciate you for your time. So we're military. We've been around for 242 years. The Army is 2 days older than the Corps of Engineers. We just celebrated our birthday about a week ago. And we're excited to be down here. But on the other hand, we want to continue to keep some degree of historical lineage and honors in there. So let me just give you a little bit of some significance on the ceremony. It really is a time-honored tradition, and it assures to endure that a unit people are never without leadership, and that the transition command is a continuity of trust. And it also signifies the loyalty of that organization shifting. The formal transfer of authority, you heard an order. Everything we do in the Army comes from an order, so we read an order that Colonel Owen signed. And you saw the passing of the colors. That is so that, in a long time ago, all the soldiers could see that the old commander's taken that flag and given it to the new commander with his trust and his best wishes for that new commander's success. When Dave Hill, though, took that flag and passed it to me, it wasn't just the passing of a flag. It was passing of 3 years of great teaming with all of you. It was 3 years of accomplishments. I'll go into some of those today. And 3 years of knowing that he was trying to do everything he could to set up Paul for success. But when Paul Owen grabbed that flag, I don't know what that flag waved, Mark, but when the commander grabs that flag, it's worth, I mean, it's the heaviest thing in the world. Because what that flag carries is not just the job. It's not just the title. It's not about concrete and steel or taking care of the environment. What that flag carries is the accountability that I put in that colonel to say, you are accountable for everything this unit does or fails to do. And sometimes we don't think about that as leaders. It's the what do you not do or what are you not doing? And Paul, that's where you got to continue to be able to make sure you're carrying that. And regardless of the missions are always going to be important. But taking care of the people of this division are probably the biggest burden you carry. Because you have to worry about their professional development, their talent management, their health, their welfare, their safety. And being a commander in the Corps of Engineers or being a commander in Department of Defense is a big, big deal. So don't think that Paul grabbed that with, that was an easy mission for him today. It also transfers this allegiance. A lot of you have known Dave Hill. You know Chris Hill. For 3 years, you understood when you go into a staff meeting what he's probably going to say. If you're a stakeholder and he's going to come and visit, you know where his red lines are. You kind of know where you have some room to maneuver. You don't know Paul Owen. And so now it's this transfer of how do we all say thank you to the Hills for a job well done, but we transfer this allegiance, this trust to that new commander, that new command team. Because it's a big, big deal. And it shows that we as an organization can continue to rotate leaders because the power of the Corps of Engineers is not the colonel, it's not the general. The power of the Corps of Engineers is 33,000 civilians, many of which are represented in the room today, that continue to be the continuity of the Corps so that the commanders can change without any risk because we know that the civilians are going to continue to do the mission and do it very, very well. So as I think about these two leaders up front here, I kind of look through the dimensions of what are we really recognizing today? What kind of attributes do we have to be able to have a leader? I do a lot of leader development. I had a group in this week. They were all probably been with us for 4 or 5 years. They were probably between 30 and 35 years old. These are emerging leaders who probably have the ability to go to the top of the SES. And they look at me and they say, so General, what attributes does a leader need? And I tell you, to be a commander of a division, there's about 5 I look at. And these two, ironically, have exactly the same attributes to a degree. I just kind of want to let you know what I look at when I pick at somebody to come down and do this. The first thing we need is we need somebody that has tactical excellence. We grow these people as lieutenants, captains, lieutenant colonels. They are tactical commanders. They have continued to be able to have proficiency on the battlefield because in our job series, we don't have a technical engineer and a tactical engineer. We expect one colonel, one general officer to be able to go both ways, to have proficiency on the battlefield, but also to be able to have that proficiency when it comes to design and construction. Dave has served several times in infantry divisions, a lot of different deployments. Paul has served in several different battalions, the 79th, the 11th, the 94th, the 54th. They have been on the ground, they understand what it's like to lead soldiers, and they understand what it's like to have a command climate where you delegate and empower and you continue to trust your subordinates, and then you have their back if something goes wrong. The second biggest thing that we look for is technical experts. It's great to find a warfighter, but I also need somebody that has the proficiency to be able to make sure they can watch over large projects. Dave was commissioned from the Military Academy in 1990. He's got a Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry, a Master of Science degree in engineering management, and then went on to have a Master of Science on national security strategy from the War College. Somebody who clearly understands what engineering is all about. Paul Owen, same exact kind of a pedigree. Commissioned out of the Military Academy in 90, Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering, Masters of Science in Engineering Management from Missouri, and then a Master of Science in Nuclear Engineering from MIT. I don't know how smart you guys are, but a nuclear engineer is a pretty smart guy, okay? Registered Professional Engineer, Missouri. Now, ironically, both these guys were from the class of 1990 out of West Point. So I just wondered, is there anybody here from the proud and mighty 90 class? All right, I'm glad you guys came down today. It's always nice to see some of your classmates keep going on, and we're all for proud of them. So what's the third big dimension? I need somebody who is also an executive, who's somebody who understands how to run a large enterprise. As much as we're the Army Corps of Engineers, the vast majority of this division and all those districts that are sitting out here, they are basically running an engineering business. All of the funds that they get basically are reimbursable. So they have to understand how to save the taxpayers' money. They can't just call to the Pentagon and say, send more money down, it's the end of the year, because they don't work that way. That causes them to be able to understand what's my workload balance, how am I going to figure out how to invest in training talent management while at the same time having the skills I need to deliver the program. Dave has done a great job down here. Just some of the numbers on this particular division. This is the size and the scope of what this executive is in charge of. 2.3 million acres of public land. He's got an annual program of about $3 billion. And then they've been around since 1937. He continues to do a great job of figuring out how to take care of all those stakeholders. Paul Owen also ran very, very large enterprises. He was the commander of the New York district. Again, 3 years as a colonel in New York City. What also happened then was he ran about a $3 billion recovery program right after the big storm Sandy. Sandy hit down along the south, came all the way up, and really hit New York and New Jersey very, very hard. Paul was the single colonel that was in charge of not only the response of that, but Paul also was able to figure out, working with the interagency and the administration, how do I put a program together to rebuild that? And we're still seeing the fruits of Paul's labor out there. So what's another dimension? When it comes to a military officer, I need somebody who is also understands what combat's like, can go to the combat area, and to be able to understand how to succeed, take care of people, whether it's soldiers and civilians. Right now, the Corps has deployed over 11,000 of our civilians in fatigues to Iraq and Afghanistan in the last 10 years. That's a pretty hard number for anybody to meet when you ask a civilian to step up and go. Today we have 100 people, 100 meters down in the ground, fixing the dam in Mosul 10 miles away from where the fight is, because that dam is at a risk of breaking. That's the kind of step-up kind of people we need in the Corps of Engineers, and I need combat leaders that have that type of capability. Dave's been all over the place. 3 independent tours to Iraq. Desert Storm, we liberated Kuwait. Haiti, Bosnia. Paul's right along with him. A lot of different tours, a lot of different places. He just came out of the Afghanistan district. I went in August of 14 as a maneuver commander to try to help rebuild the Afghan police and the Afghan army. I had a district working for me, a Corps of Engineer district. About 2 or 3 months after I got there, I needed to figure out the replacement of the person that was there. And I got to handpick pretty much any colonel I wanted. And out of the 60 different colonels we had in the regiment, I picked one, and that was Paul Owen. And Paul stepped up to the plate to be able to deploy into Afghanistan, leave Wendy, and go into a very, very difficult mission, and knocked it out of the park. Did a great job performing. That's the kind of leader we're bringing you here to replace Dave Hill. 2 people who have been under the fight, so it's pressure, whether it's pressure from Congress, pressure from the town hall, pressure from the newspaper, somebody who knows what right looks like and will stand up in an apolitical manner to do the right thing for the right reason based on our authorities and our statutes, not because you're driving by some other personal agenda. And finally, the most important aspect I'm looking at a strategic leader. Somebody who can really not only live for today, but how do you set the conditions for tomorrow? And so Dave's done a great job of setting some strategic architecture in the Pentagon, worked me for there a year and understood how the Pentagon worked. But also here in this division, we talked about the vision of the Corps of Engineers. He has set the Southwest Division on a vision to be able to look out to 2035 to try to anticipate what are the requirements that this region needs, and how do we grow that capacity now, long before we need it, so that when called upon, the Corps of Engineers can step up. Paul just came from being my chief of staff. Significant amount of people in Corps headquarters. He is the one go-to guy that runs about 300 people in Washington, D.C., about 30 of which outrank him. And he was the one who had to try to figure out how do you work the budget, how do you do all the tasks that we have to come up with, hiring freeze and everything else, and continues to do a great job of synchronizing about 43 districts, 9 divisions, 34,000 employees, and a $32 billion program. So I just kind of want to hit a couple quick bullets on Dave Hill. We do have a campaign plan. There's 4 big missions we do in the Corps. The first big mission is we really support what's called military programs. This is the ability to build and support soldiers and airmen throughout the Southwest Division. So big installations, hood, bliss, pole, sill, Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, all of those big military bases down here, whether it's a new barracks, whether it's work in land acquisition or real estate, whether it's hazardous waste removal, anything that happens on a military reservation, this division steps up and does for those critical stakeholders. And they've done a phenomenal job on medical facilities, big one at Fort Hood, and continue to be able to figure out how they can take care of the soldiers and the sailors and the airmen down here in this region. The other big thing in this particular area is we're doing a lot more work with the interagency right now. And so Customs and Border Patrol, the VA, we enjoy partnering with any of the interagency, and we continue to want to be an option where the interagency can use our services to step up, and Dave's been instrumental in making it happen. Second big goal of the Corps of Engineers is water, integrated water resources and delivery. And this is a large division with a lot of capability. 74 different reservoirs. It's got the second largest operator of hydropower. The water in this region and those reservoirs basically service about $2 million households and over 5 million citizens. So a lot of reliance on the water capabilities that we have. And then continue to be able to work through the rest of the projects, where it's ecosystem restoration, navigation, hydro, all the things that we would be asked to do for water supply or water quality. Dave's leadership continue to be able to push this division to where it needed to be in that portfolio. Third big area is disaster risk. We are FEMA's engineer. If there's a problem in this region, the Southwest Division is going to be the one that steps up and is standing behind the governor, standing there with the FEMA administrator to be able to make sure we're delivering for what we need to do. And Dave's done a good job of continuing to predict where are there damages that we related with the 15 and 16 storm, a lot of different floods, and he's doing a lot of work right now on the comprehensive storm damage reduction study to try to figure out how can we make the Texas coast more resilient. Could be a program that is in the billions of dollars if it's funded by Congress, but how do we continue to learn from storms from the past to set the conditions for the future? And then the last big area in the Corps, in our vision, the fourth big goal, is to prepare for tomorrow. We can't live in today. We have to be able to understand where is technology going, where do we need our people to be, because our people really are one of our biggest assets. And Dave's led the Corps in some accomplishments on knowledge management, on leader development programs, and continues to do a great job of trying to make sure that regardless of programs, it's the processes and the people that we always got to work on to continue to try to figure out how can we be better value and be a little bit leaner. So I'm just going to read two quick testimonials here of a couple leaders. And this is what, as we talk about Dave Hill, he is a very quiet guy and will not say much about himself, but I want to brag on him a little bit. This is a leader that knows Dave Hill very well. General Hill is the epitome of what a leader should be. His cool, calm demeanor, regardless of the situation, provides great confidence in his subordinates. He makes us believe we can achieve the impossible. A boss creates fear. A leader inspires confidence. A boss fixes blame. A leader corrects mistakes. A boss knows all. A leader asks questions. A boss makes work go grudgingly. A leader makes it interesting. Dave Hill's a leader. Just one of a person that knows Dave very, very well. Here's another quick one here. Hands down, General Hill is the smartest person in the room. Yet at no time does he ever act as such, nor does he ever make you feel like your opinion is anything other than welcome and appreciated. I also know he's the most caring leader I know. I have never worked with anybody that cares so much for the workforce. In his deeds and words, he is always working to find new and innovative ways to improve work environment and consistently seeks feedback from the lowest level. Pretty unsolicited feedback, but pretty great way to go. So I want to talk just a little bit about the rest of the family, the Hill family. So we did have an event just about an hour ago where we gave Dave some awards, and we were very honored to also be able to give Chris Hill an award. Chris and Dave been together since high school sweethearts, been married for 27 years, and the entirety of Dave's career. Chris is an elementary school teacher and employs working part-time in is a school district during the current movement. Connie and I have known Chris for a long, long time. And you talk about somebody who's willing to always step up, look out for the good of her own family, to be the balance for her spouse, but on the other hand, take care of the organization. Chris Hill has done that. And so, you know, one of the things that Chris does, and I'm just going to tell you about a military spouse for a minute. She's got 3 great kids. One of those kids is going to be a nurse, okay? One of those kids is going to be an Army officer. One of those kids is already an Army officer. Husband, Army officer, and a teacher. And so when my kids were really, really young, they used to say, I always say, what are you going to do when you grow up? And they always would say different kind of things. I said, when you really boil down your life to be grossly simplistic to a fourth grader, it kind of comes into two bins. You're either going to go work for a big company, make money, and they're going to have a better stock price, and at the end of the day, you'll get a gold watch, and you'll probably have more money than any of us, okay? Or you're going to be a service person, okay? You're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a nurse, you're going to work for a police station or a fire station, or you're going to join the military service. When you think of 5 of them, one's not here today, okay? But when you think of 5 of them that have either donated their life or their kids are aspiring to have a life of service, that is unbelievable. And if you think Dave Hill is the cause of all that, you're wrong, okay? The brains of this operation is right here. Let's give Chris a big round of applause, okay? So I want to welcome Paul in. Like I said, I've known Paul for a long, long time. This is a tough job being a commander, and it's very, very difficult to rise up to the level to be a division commander. There's so many great candidates. We needed somebody who really was a strategist, an advisor, and a doer. Paul, you have proven to us through demonstrated service year after year that you are the right person to bring in. I had several I could choose from. We chose you to come to the Southwest Division. And for those that don't know Paul Owen, you will be amazed. As much as you think nobody can replace Dave Hill, I'm telling you, there's not going to be a speck of distance between the two of them because they're going to be able to be seamless. We brought Paul in about 2 or 3 months ago and started working with this division. He's been down here for briefings, he's been down here for exercises, he's been down here when they briefed me, he's seen some of you already, and he's very, very aggressive of getting out to meet you, to understand your concerns, and if there's something we can do better, he wants to be able to make that happen. Paul's got a great family here as well. His father, Ed, his mom, Faye, both great parents. To the two of you, colonels don't get to sit on the front row when, parents don't step up. And so somewhere there's a great accolade here for parents to be able to continue to be able to see their son not only be a great Army officer, but to be able to take a division of this size and this magnitude and to take this responsibility on willingly, knowing that most of the time, 90% of the things that somebody walks in your office is not going to be good news, Paul. It's something's late, nobody walks in tomorrow and says, hey, we just found $10 million we didn't know we had, or we're 3 months ahead of schedule, okay? So that probably doesn't happen, okay? And then you've got to have that ability, which you do, to be able to see through that and to continue to be able to champion that. Paul's got 3 sisters. Unfortunately, they weren't able to be here today. And then, of course, Wendy is here. We've known Wendy for several years, Connie and I. Very, very strong, very supportive. And she has stood by Paul through all of these different rotations, all those tactical ones I mentioned, the tough times in New York City. And then Wendy, just like Chris, there are times when these spouses drove their husband to the airport and to be able to put them on a plane to go a combat zone, not knowing when they're coming back, not knowing if they're coming back. That's what a military spouse is, and Wendy's the epitome of a military spouse. Let's give Wendy a big round of applause. So I probably talked longer than you wanted, but the bottom line is I want you to know what I think about these guys. I want you to know how great the Hills are. I want you to know how great the Owens are. But if I was to end on one note, it would be to the people that aren't on the front row. It'd be to those people that are here in the division and to support the Southwest Division team. To the district leadership. You got great employees. I don't know whether we're streaming this, but somewhere there's 32,000 or 3,200 people out there that know Dave Hill very, very well. The strength of the Corps is not in concrete and steel and what we do in the ecosystem. The strength of the Corps is the passion we have to try to get to be a better organization, to try to be responsive to you, and to do things for the right reason. And at the end of the day, projects are going to come and go. But our passion and our commitment is to that flag, to be able to step up and make sure that someone's doing the right thing for the right reason. And without getting political on you, there's a lot of people out there that continue to look to harm our country, and whether it's combat or whether it's here in the United States protecting soldiers and protecting their families or protecting the environment and the ecosystem we have and disaster response, the Corps of Engineers is going to stand up because we have great leaders like the Hills and the Owens. Let's give them all a big round of applause.
Ladies and gentlemen, our outgoing commander, Brigadier General David C. Hill.
General Semonite is a tough act to follow, but I take that challenge gladly. And General Semonite, Command Sergeant Major Houston, distinguished visitors, Southwestern Division pace setters, family and friends, good morning. I want to thank y'all for joining us on this big day for the Southwestern Division of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. You know, Paul and I are certainly privileged to have the opportunity to command. We're the ones that get to stand up here and make a speech today. But you know, this is really about the organization. We talked about that kind of in the introduction to the passing of the colors. But this is about continuity in a mission, continuity of service, and I just feel fortunate to be able to stand up here and represent those great folks. To our many other guests who represent our great partners and stakeholders, and there are many here, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know you over the last couple of years, and from both an organizational perspective and a personal perspective. I consider it to have been a tremendous privilege to work side by side with you over these last 3 years to deliver projects and services to our nation, the states and communities of the Southwestern region of the United States, and to our service members and their families. My family and I are certainly honored by the presence of General Semonite and Command Sergeant Major Houston here today. Sir, thank you for hosting. Thank you for the opportunity to lead in the Southwestern Division over the last 3 years, and thank you for the continued opportunity to serve in the Corps in my upcoming assignment with the Transatlantic Division. I also want to say a special thank you to Colonel Don and Sue Aller, who unfortunately cannot be here today. I know Chris has enjoyed her friendship with Sue during our time in Dallas, and Don has been an exceptional deputy commander. I'm grateful for all that he's done to strengthen our foundation so that Mr. Mazzanti, Mr. Perez, and I can focus on delivering our program and achieving the Chief's vision. It's also great to have RJ and Nina Maraski here today. RJ preceded Don as my deputy and really made my transition, our transition as a family, into our first USACE assignment a smooth one. RJ and Nina, we've enjoyed the opportunity to grow the friendship between our families over the last 3 years, and we look forward to our continued chance to connect in the years ahead. And you know, oftentimes you thank your family at the end of a speech, but I can be a pretty emotional guy. I'm going to thank Chris right now before I get ramped up here. I certainly want to extend my heartfelt thanks to my wife Chris and our children Matt, Megan, and Nick, who, I'll brag a little bit, I think are the quintessential Army family, creating a wonderful life wherever the Army sent us. Thank you for going all in here in Dallas, and thanks for taking on yet another move so that I can continue in this Army profession that I love. Today closes out our 12th year in Texas since 2002. So it is indeed hard for us to leave, and I know I can speak for our entire family when I say that these last 3 years have been a huge blessing for us here. God richly blessed our family by planting us in Carrollton, and now I know there are a lot of great places to be from here in the Metroplex or across Texas, but let me tell you three reasons why Carrollton tops my personal list. First is the First Baptist Church of Carrollton. For me personally, the hardest part of leaving this time is saying goodbye to our FBCC church family. Several of them are here today. I saw Deborah in the back. I think Steve and Clark and Julie Houseman here. I'm very thankful that you're here. You loved on us from our first weekend here to our last, and we'll truly miss you. Second is Hebron High School. Our whole family will miss Hebron, all of Nick's friends and their families, and certainly Friday Night Lights in North Texas. What a blessing to have watched Nick go through his last 3 years of high school as a Hebron Hawk. Hebron's wonderfully led by a principal who worked for many, many years with the Corps as a USACE summer hire park ranger. And in my opinion, having watched that school closely over the last few years, his leadership at Hebron reflects the character, competence, and commitment demonstrated daily by our rangers and the amazing workforce of the Corps. And third is our wonderful neighborhood and special people like our neighbors Chuck and Judy that are here today. Our roots have been well watered here and have grown deep, and we will miss you as God replants our family in Northern Virginia. Speaking of family, after 27 years of service, we certainly have friends here in Texas now that we just introduced as family, and it's great to see you here today, Brock and Ellie. We're welcoming you into that family, and Zane behind. It's good to see you all here today, just as you have been for so many other special life moments for our family over many, many years. So, General Semonite talked a lot about our mission. We have one mission in the Corps of Engineers, regardless of whether you serve in the Southwestern Division or any of our 8 other divisions. Our mission is to deliver vital public engineering services, partnering in peace and war to strengthen the nation's security, energize the economy, and reduce disaster risk. And while we have one mission, our regional priorities here that General Kula really helped lay out and envision wonderfully before I had the opportunity to command here. Our regional priorities are a unique expression of what the pacesetters of the Southwestern Division must do, and that all the Corps employees in here do so well in order for USACE to be successful in the pursuit of that mission, that one mission. A protected, resilient Texas coast, multi-purpose reservoirs that deliver essential benefits in times of flood and drought, other operational projects and response capabilities that retain the natural environment, reduce the risk of loss of life, and reduce long-term economic damages. In fact, they contribute mightily to economic opportunity and growth. And a reliable, relevant Arkansas River navigation system, a viable, effective federal hydropower program, and projects large and small that meet the needs and maximize the investments of military and interagency partners. These are our priorities here in the Southwestern Division, and I leave this region amazed at how all 3,000 plus pacesetters bring their knowledge, skills, experience, and passion to bear every day. Our position as a respected organization is secure because you embrace public service, you deliver on commitments, you communicate transparently, and you enhance the reputation of the Army profession and the engineer profession. And if you doubt that last statement, just ask any one of our district commanders. I'll talk about them here in a moment. They're here in the room with us today, about their award-winning people and projects. There's not a month that goes by during my 3 years of command here that someone in our region hasn't been recognized for delivering a fantastic facility to our service members, or for exceptional work in one of our water resource projects, or just technical expertise above and beyond what's expected, or what's demonstrated broadly across the Corps. And I'm very proud of each and every one of those people and projects. So about those district commanders, if you came to dinner last night, you know they are a fun group to work with. They're incredibly talented, resilient, and committed to developing and taking care of our people. I appreciate your commitment to training our workforce and developing our leaders, to assessing performance honestly, to communicating candidly, respectfully, and regularly, and to ensuring that we as an organization listen, learn, and adapt. Calvin, Chris, Bob, and Lars, and before you, Rich Pratt, Courtney Paul, and Rich Padell, I can't thank you enough for your leadership and service. So in many Army formations, commanders lead as a command team with their command sergeant major serving as their right arm. It's a special and essential relationship to the success of the organization. Well, in the Southwestern Division, we don't have a command sergeant major assigned, but I have both a right arm and a left arm that are really the muscle behind the heavy lifting done here in the region. I've been blessed to lead side by side with 3 of our most talented senior executive service members, Mark Mazzanti, Pete Perez, and Bob Slockfire. Mark and Beth, Pete and Grace, Chris and I are grateful for your talent, your counsel, and your friendship. You've really made this an easy job for me. Thank you for carrying the heaviest rucksacks in this region, and know that I would jump at the chance to work with each of you again in the future. And I'm going to step away from a prepared speech here for a second. So General Semonite, I appreciate the quotes and the heartfelt expressions from some of the employees. Whoever said I was the smartest guy was not right. And I try to read broadly in this job to kind of continue to learn and grow myself. Some of it about specifically our work, or just leading in business in general, or about the military and the national security environment. But the most important thing that I read over the last couple of years was an article, I think it was in the Harvard Business Review, and it was entitled something to the effect of How to Lead When You're No Longer the Smartest Person in the Room. And I took that to heart. And every day when I sit in a staff meeting or somewhere else and watch Mark and Pete in action, and our corporate board and all those that advise us on these very challenging projects, I am reminded that I just need to point them in the right direction and let them go. If Mark and Pete are my right and left arm, then the team of Yolanda and Bobby, and before that Jenny and Jimmy, must be the right and left sides of my brain. Yolanda's my executive assistant, and Bobby now is my aide-de-camp. You all have been wonderful to work with. Where's Yolanda? I know she's probably setting up a reception over here on the other side of the hallway. Yolanda, thank you for being the small voice on my shoulder, reminding me about family commitments and for guarding that time for me. And Bobby, thank you for working so humbly and tirelessly to keep me on track. And finally, to Colonel Paul and Wendy Owen, welcome to the Southwestern Division. Paul, it's great to pass the responsibility for leading the Southwestern Division to a friend and classmate from the proud and mighty West Point class of 1990. And guys, thanks for being here today. It's good to see you all. It's been a pleasure working this transition with you. A former leader in this division that I hold in high regard, Mr. John Roberts, was fond of a Teddy Roosevelt quote that I had not heard before I met and had the opportunity to work with John here in this job. Teddy Roosevelt once said, "Far and away, the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at work worth doing." I'm incredibly excited for you and Wendy to have this opportunity to work hard at work that is very much worth doing, and I know that this region will be well served by your talent and experience. So it's time for me to wrap this up. I'll close with one other thing that John Roberts taught me. Paul and Wendy, perhaps this is a final bit of Southwestern cultural knowledge that I can pass on to you that you might find helpful. If I were to simply close by thanking Wendy and Paul, it would be appropriate for me to say thank y'all. But John told me for 3 or more people, and this great turnout today surely meets that criteria, that it's best that I say thank you to all y'all. So thank all y'all. Remember that, especially when we get up to Oklahoma. Building strong, Army strong.
Ladies and gentlemen, our commander, Colonel Paul E. Owen.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Appreciate the time and the effort that went into making this ceremony what it is today, so all that went into putting this together. Thank you very much. So Lieutenant General Semonite, Command Sergeant Major Houston, distinguished guests, friends, colleagues, and teammates in the Southwestern Division, thank you for attending today's ceremony. I'd like to make a special thanks to our friends from the United States Military Academy class of 1990 for a couple references to that already, for attending today's ceremony here too. So sir, for a brief period of time this summer, you're going to have 5 engineers from the class of 1990 that you're going to directly supervise. So Andresiak, Holland, Hill, Owen, and Whittle. Wow. And you're going to have Rick Hansen as Chief of Staff. So you're going to hear more from the class of 90 as time goes on. Anyway, we're a good group. You'll like us. So all right. I'm going to follow the long-established tradition of the incoming commanding saying they're going to be brief. And I hope at the end of this you'll judge that I have been brief to that point. So I do have 4 points that I'd like to get across to you today. First, I want to thank Lieutenant General Semonite for presenting this incredible opportunity to me to be a division commander in USACE, especially for the Southwestern Division. This past year, serving as your Chief of Staff has been a rewarding and educational experience for me, and one that I'm confident has really made me a better, more effective, or will make me a more better and effective division commander as I look to this position. I look forward to the years ahead to continue to work with you and your guidance and leadership as the Southwestern Division Commander, sir. So look forward to a very productive and great 3 years ahead. Second, I'm proud to have the opportunity to accept this command from Brigadier General Dave Hill. You know, great friend and classmate, and we have experienced tours together in the past, specifically at Fort Hood as majors. We were in the 4th Infantry Division together and prepared to and deployed to Iraq in the early days of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And Dave in the 299th Engineer Battalion, and I was in the 588th Engineer Battalion with another one of your generals, General Graham. So that was a life-building experience for us, Dave, going through that time, and I always remember Dave as certainly one of the best guys and most talented majors in that organization. So General Hill has a stellar reputation as an extremely intelligent leader, and he brings a calming influence with imaginative solutions to the most contentious situations. Stuff you've already heard, stuff that I've kind of seen and known, and I'm proud to follow in his footsteps. And I'm going to work diligently to build on your legacy and the achievements that you have established and the team has done here in Southwestern Division. Third point, to our Southwestern Division stakeholders. I fully, both military construction and in the civil works arena, I fully understand that our USACE mission is directly linked to many essential government services that your constituents expect you to deliver every day. I look forward to gaining an in-depth understanding of your requirements and how USACE can help you achieve mission success. the key to delivering the USACE program has always been, and will continue to be, through our districts. So Colonel Lars Zetterstrom, Colonel Calvin Hudson, Colonel Chris Husson, Colonel Bob Dixon. I'm anxious to meet your teams and work with you to enhance your mission at delivering these vital services. Okay, fourth point. To my family, very proud to have my mother and father, who just celebrated their 53rd anniversary on June 22nd. Did I get that? No, 54. 54. I'm not too good with numbers. So. Anyway, share this experience. For you to have you here with us today is very special to me. And I know my three sisters, Susan, Chris, and Kathy, are thinking about me today also. And even though they couldn't make it here for the ceremony. So, Mom and Dad, I can't thank you enough for providing a stable, principled childhood home that I'm sure gave us all a strong foundation for a fulfilling and successful life. And I know that's true for my sisters. And couldn't thank you enough for what you've done to help make me happy and live a purposeful life. So, thank you. I'd also like to thank my wife, Wendy, for being incredibly supportive and an Army spouse, and for continuing to make sacrifices that allow me to pursue the drive I feel to continue to serve in the Army. So I think this is PCS number 14 for us, Wendy. So I might have one on you, Jenna Hill. I know, sir, you've got about 23, so we've got a ways to go for that. But we're glad to be back in Texas and in the Southwest. We have a few connections to this region that might give you some insight into our background. I'd just like to mention a few. My mother was born in Galveston, but soon departed to St. Louis and grew up in that area, so we'll look forward to maybe seeing some of your old stomping grounds down in Galveston. We lived as a family in Little Rock, Arkansas for 2 years, where I attended 10th and 11th grade. I know high school football is intense in Texas, but from my personal experience, the Friday night lights shine pretty bright in Arkansas too, so that was an intense experience playing high school football in Little Rock, Arkansas. So Wendy graduated from physician assistant program at Baylor College of Medicine in Houston, so she spent 2.5 years down there living in Houston, and worked for Scott and White Hospital in Temple, Texas, while we were stationed at Fort Hood. So, in fact, while I mentioned Fort Hood, it's glad to see my old boss, R.J. Moraski. I think he's got a little facial hair he's working on there. And Nina, great to see you too. He's my old boss in the 580th Engineer Battalion. And great to see you here, and I know it's always fun to see old friends and part of your new team. So those are our connections to Little Rock and maybe Fort Worth and to Galveston, and I'm still developing my connections to Tulsa, Chris. So our little connections to Oklahoma is Wendy was I don't know if you know, Wendy was a second lieutenant in the Signal Corps, so she spent maybe a few weeks at Fort Sill going through a BB-SOC or some school like that for them. And I spent a couple of weeks as a cadet at West Point at Camp Gruber, Oklahoma. Do you know Camp Gruber, Oklahoma? All right, so that was a pretty remote place. And anyway, when I was a cadet, and I learned a lot from the Oklahoma National Guard, as they took a special interest in training cadets from West Point and really wanted to prove how tough the Oklahoma National Guard was, and they did a good job of that. So anyway, that was air assault school for me. Maybe you guys did that too, some of our classmates went to Camp Gruber, Oklahoma for air assault school. But seriously, I look forward to visiting some old stomping grounds and embarking on many new adventures in the coming years. So I know I said 4 points, but I'd like to add one bonus point. I've served the past 5 years in USACE, including time as a district commander in New York and Afghanistan and the USACE Chief of Staff. And during this time, I have gained a tremendous appreciation for the exceptionally high level of dedication, professionalism, and pride that exists in our USACE civilian workforce. I've learned to trust your experience and judgment, and I know that our success as a team is dependent on you. I look forward to getting to know this incredible team in the Southwestern Division. I'm honored to have the opportunity to serve as your commander. So to Mark and Pete and all the civilians that you represent, I appreciate all the things that you do, and again, look forward to serving with you over the next, hopefully, 3 years. If General Semonite will let me stay that long. So, all right, so thank you again, and I am honored to serve as your commander. All policies remain in effect. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join in the singing of the engineer song, the Army song, and the departure of the official party. The words are located on the back of your program and also on the videos on the monitors.
It's